Hey, good evening, good evening. How's it going? Welcome to yet another show. It is I, TJ. Yes, you are live to the TJ show. And today I've got a sister from another mother, and her name is Alice. And Alice does business, a particular business which is very similar to mine, but hers is different. And we are going to know all about it. Alice, good morning, good evening. How's it going?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm good in yourself.
Good, good. Who is Alice and what does Alice do?
Uh, Alice is, my name is Alice Madisha, and I do construction. Basically, I do everything to do with construction, and I've got 10 years in the industry, and I worked 3 years as an intern, and then from there started a construction company, had a business partner, and then at the moment we went for 8 years, and then we're running the successful company. Unfortunately, the recession and the COVID hit, and then we had to go separate ways to be able to venture into other things. For me, I'm still in the same industry, started from the bottom again, and here am I. So that's
Okay,
me.
cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk right at the beginning. So obviously you didn't start off being these things that you've just mentioned. You started at a position where at some point you were at school. What did you study for you to become or having a business in construction? Well, how did that? Maybe let me not talk about what did you study. How did they? Construction is not a female's job. There are like very few women that do construction. We could potentially count them maybe in one hand, maybe, or two hands. Now the list is growing as the years has come. But how did you get into construction?
For me, I got the motivation from my uncle. He's a civil engineer. So when I went to varsity and doing the applications, and I wanted to do civil engineering, but unfortunately, because of my marks, they said, look, rather you do building, or for you to do entry course. Then I did the building, and then I loved it. And then quantity surveying, construction management, 3 years in UJ. And then I went furthered my studies to TUT. Then I majored with construction management. And then from there, that's when I found a job doing interning there as a foreman, site agent, site assistant, whatever that had to be done on site, which is I didn't even have a title, which is I was just doing everything. So basically, yeah, that's how it all started. And I grew, and then after that, that's when I said, you know what, better use what I have to make it and make it my life.
Okay. At,
Yeah.
at what point did you start making money? I mean, do you remember your first time of earning money? Was it before you were in intern or at the intern position?
In 10, it was just a normal employment. And when I started the business, that's when you started seeing the money, started seeing the zeros, and started seeing all that. So
Mm.
basically, it was our first project in the previous company that was Tramshed and post office. So, and then we went into it and we did the shopping centers. Yeah, the money was a bit scary, but you get used to it and working hard, obviously, to sustain it all.
Yeah, I like that. Um, let's talk about the journey of you coming from a point of, you're an intern. How did the idea of you knowing that at some point you want to own a business? And and why did you go for this particular business, which is construction? Because you could have gone any direction to own any other business. But why did you start to think about a business? and eventually falling into construction?
For me, it was that thing that I gave myself 3 years in the private sector to say, look, Alice, you've got 3 years to explore, see what is out there, do your best. And luckily for me, or fortunately for me, by the 3rd year, that's when I had encountered my mentor, and then he proposed to open a business with me. And I'm like, hey, I've got nothing to lose. I'm still young. Let me jump into it. Little did I know that I'm jumping into the lion's den. But look, you swim. You do what you have to do at the end of the day. And I enjoyed every minute of it. And even now, I don't see myself being employed, even though I tried, because tough times will push you, but then at the end of the day, you still find yourself standing after it all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Let,
basically that's how it all started.
sure. Let's go back to the conversation on you still employed and then someone approaches you because you had a goal already before they approached you. So
Yeah.
you were kind of like ready, actually. That's what I mean. Mentally, you were prepared for it. Had you not set up a goal, I think maybe that could have been a little bit scary for you to jump into it. Um, but why were you setting up a goal anyways? Because I think a lot of us, we just go to work and we go to work and we go to work and it's 5 years, 10 years, and 50 years, we're still in the same employment. I remember when, you're laughing. I remember in my last year at the bank, um, one day I went downstairs. So we used to park in the basement, and
Mm-hmm.
the one guy was being escorted. His name was Henry something. I'd never met him. I didn't know him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whilst we are in the elevator, he then said, "This is it." So that's kind of like weird, when you're in an elevator, someone just says, "This is it." So obviously I answered, and there was a security guard, and I was like, "What's up?" And he says, "I've served this bank. I am now 68. I started working here when I was 17 years old." It freaked
17.
me. Yes, it freaked me out, Alice. In I didn't know whether to say congratulations or whether to say what the hell. Like, and this guy was not even a prominent person in the bank. I'd been working in the bank for a while, and I'm like, are they people 30, 40 years, same employer? But for you was different. You said 3 years. I'm gonna give myself 3 years. Why did you set up that goal? And neither am I saying that guy, he had no life. That was his life. He chose that path. But why
True.
did you choose that as opposed to anything else? To put a date and you had that goal. Why did you put a goal?
Look, unfortunately, when we go to school, we are told that you have to go to school so that you get a qualification, get a job, get security. So for me, I was like, you know what, let me give that myself this. If nothing comes out, then I will settle for the security part of it.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where I felt like I like taking risks. I think that's one of the other things. And I adapt quickly, and I think that's why I was able to. And I don't delay to make a decision, So that's why I jumped in the decision, because I knew that this bigger is this. There's gotta be something bigger than what I'm doing and what I'm being promised, as a society. So even right now, I'm that kind of person to say, look, it doesn't have to be what you see here. It can be beyond what you imagine. So that's why I'm jumping into it, and that's why I'm jumping into everything that I'm doing. Since from then till now, I think I'll carry it through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. let's jump onto the conversation now. Your mentor has just approached you, but maybe before the mentor, how did you get to have a mentor? Because I think a mentor is also very foreign to a lot of people. Or you can be like me. When I was at the bank, they were very big around mentoring, and I used to be like, nah, mentors, it's not for me. So I never explored that option before ever. So what's your view around mentorship?
From my side, he was a director of the company, and then him being the director of the company, it was where then he was the contracts manager, so he would see me on site all the time.
Sure.
And it's one of those that when you're an intern, basically when you're on site, you have to do what has to be done on site, being admin, being everything. And on site, luckily that site, it was a year, more than a year. I think it was 16 months. And then in the contract, I grew from folding drawings every day to cleaning the office to safety, being a foreman, and then managing the whole process of one shop where we were doing tenant installation. So basically, he was the guy who was, he was stretching me all the time when I'm on site. He was just not letting me doing one thing. Then one thing led to another, in a sense where now whatever that he was teaching me, then it went to me having my own project. And then after that, at the end of the day, it was us now moving to another venture, both of us.
If you had to look back, would you have made a different choice, or would you still have made the choice that you did? I mean, you have grown. There's lots of things that you have done as a business partner, as with your mentor turned business partner. You guys seen a bit of money on the table. You've done multiple projects. Would you make a different decision?
I wouldn't. I would still make the same decision because at that time, that's what I known and that's what I thought it was best, and that's what I did. So basically, what I'm trying to say, I wouldn't change anything, because if I say I would change, probably the circumstances and everything that got me to grow to be where I am, it wouldn't have been, how it is now. So everything I would still do the same because I'll still give it my all, and as I'm doing now. So I've never shortcome anything. So everything that I did, I just gave it my all.
Awesome, cool. Alice, at this junction, this is where you need to promote yourself. This show here, it's also about promoting your services to the people, what you do. And the next question I want to ask of you is, so what do you do actually in your business? So now you've got a business. What do you do? So tell us, in the view of, if I was sitting at home, I'm like watching this, I'm like, oh, okay, I actually want that service. What is it that you do?
Look, I do construction. I offer construction services. And
Okay.
I also, anything that has to do with construction. And I also offer 10-key where, because I do have clients where they have just an idea. So I said, okay, I organize the whole professional team from start to completion. And then sometimes you find that client or developers, they've got drawings, they want costing, they want to finish. So at the end of, right now with the 10-year, what do you call it, 10-year experience in construction, and me again, studying with, partnering with EDPF. So what I do, I bring all this services, I bring solution from construction and property industry, and then bring them together, package them. Because at the end of the day, that's what we get, a full deal. And some they consult in a sense of If they want to buy a property, I go there and then I give my construction experts. And then from there, they will tell me what do they want me to do. And then I do assist in that. And then I also partnered with different people, different spectrum, where at the end of the day, if someone comes to say, Alice, I want to develop, or I've got a site, I'm able to come and assist whichever way, but mainly is construction services. And then right now, I'm incorporating it with property services so that I can bring a whole package and a whole development depending on what the client needs. And some, they are contractors. And then what I do is I offer trades. I do tiling as well. I do demolition. I do brickwork. So at the end of the day, it's what the client is looking for, but mainly it's construction services from QSing to completion, and then from starting on turnkey to completion of the project or a house or a development, whichever at the end of the day what the client needs. But basically, everything in construction, advisory to execution. That's what I do.
I've worked with people that are in construction in the past.
Okay.
And I've also realized that there is people prefer to do different things. So for instance, if I am going to tackle a building, let's say 5-story building, and I say, Alice, please come through and look into a building specifically for renovations, you may just say, that's not my cup of tea. And you focus maybe on groundbreaking. So it's fresh construction from the ground going up, and you are happy there. Or you have other people that actually understand both sides, and they will be able to do either the renovation or they will be able to do the construction from ground zero to going up. Is there a particular niche for you that you say you specialize in, or you kind of like have the skill to cover everything and you'll be happy to receive any type of work?
Look, at the moment, the skill and the capacity of people that I've partnered with, we do most of the stuff. I mean, be it renovations and the new. Because at the end of the day, with the challenge with the renovations is you just don't know how many times it was revamped. So how many times it was added. And then what we do, we go to consult, get the drawings for you, get it redrawn if ever it has to be redrawn. But again, which is that other one is this more process that has to go through, we have to go through. And obviously there's cost to come with it, because in all my processes, I don't take shortcuts, because shortcuts at the end of the day, still your name on it. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to bring, because others you'd find out, like for example, there's one that we are working on. There's no drawings, there's nothing. So for everything to be approved, we have to start from redrawing, resubmissions with new and all those kind of stuff. So that's what we do. In terms of capacity wise, we do, because at the end of the day, with the experience that I have and the team that I have and the people that have, that I've partnered with, it does not restrict us to, we pride ourselves that we are able to do both.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for someone else who wants to, let's say you're looking for someone who to do construction, Alice's details, they are in the description of the video. You should be able to reach out to them directly, and they'll be able to give you a quote, to give you some advice, and all of those things around construction. Now, Alice, I want to ask you a question. Is there money in construction?
Yeah, there is money. Like any other industry, as long as you know it very well, you'll be able to make money. In anything that you want to do, as long as you like it, you will find a way to make money out of it. So for me, I believe there is money, because at the end of the day, I'm still here after 10 years and going and counting. So yeah. Just have to do it
I like
right and right the first time.
I like that answer because a lot of people always ask me that question: Is there money? Is there money? And I'm like, if you put in the effort, the money is there, right? It's
Yeah.
about the skill and the effort that you're going to put in.
Yes, and again, it's what, like, even if it's dancing, if ever you are confident that your dance is that good for people to pay, don't stop dancing. Dance until you get paid what you're worth. So basically, with construction, it's still the same thing. Do it in such a way that you're worth to be paid whatever you've been paid or whatever you're charging at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been doing business for the last 10 years. And like any other leader out there, you don't have all the skills to do what you do.
Yeah.
We are all growing. And is there a particular thing that you don't like doing in your business? And that particular thing, if you don't like doing it, how do you work around it? Because it needs to be done. It's like, for instance, for me, I'm not really like a hard-on administration person. I do my administration good, but I'm not that hardcore. Like my pivot doesn't, it doesn't do that. But I know that it needs to be done, and I've hired people now who can help me to do that.
True.
Now, how do you manage that? Because there are certain things that you hate to do, but it's a business requirement.
Look, unfortunately, depending where you are in your business, you have to do what you have to do, or you have to do what must be done. And then
Right.
when you have passed that stage, that's when you can choose to say what can you not and what you can't do. Because at the end of the day, a business is a business, it's a package. You can't choose to say, I'm running a business, but I want to be on the road. It doesn't work. Otherwise, who's doing the claims? How are you gonna get paid? This kind of stuff. So for me, it's the admin work. Oof. If I do that, I need a day, and I'm doing my best to do that. But that's one thing that I don't like, and I'm struggling a bit with it. But then at the end of the day, my understanding to say, let me do what I must do to get out
Yeah.
of this, so that I can be able to do what I have to do and bring money to the business.
Cool. I like that. And I really like what you say, to say, depending on where your business is, because some people that listen to this show, they're just starting off there, or they're still employed, like in the evening, that's when they're doing their businesses. So you have to do what you have to do, up until your business can sustain it. Um,
True.
when you started business and you are now in this business, it's working for you. Um, I'm sure there were some benefits that you were looking after, to say, if I go into business, this is what I'm after, or this is what I'm wanting to get. Have you gotten to that phase where you're starting to see some of these benefits coming up?
Look, the benefits, yes. Like life, it's a roller coaster. Business is also a roller coaster.
Right.
And you can the perks, obviously, it's more money, more whatever, but at the end of the day you realize that it's more than money, than anything else, because it's your reputation, it's your legacy that you're leaving. At the end of the day, you have to build a brand or service or a company or a legacy that can be able to sustain, or even when you're not there, they still know you for that. When they talk about construction, like, your name is still on their tongue. You understand what I'm saying? It's for me, I think, being in this journey, I've I've gotten to a point to understand, to say it's no longer about, well, it's about you being you, doing what you love, and wanting it to stay longer, and be in it to, to stay, not just to for the money or for the fame. Because all that, they come and they go, and there's new people coming in. At the end of the day, you just, for you to be able to sustainable, make sure that your services still, they're still the best. Even if new people, old people recycling in the same spaces, at the end of the day, yours must still stand. So for me, that's what I stand for. Yeah, the money is money. It comes and it goes, and then you eat, and then tomorrow, at the end of the day, it comes and it goes.
I say to my business partners and my wife that money is like a visitor. Sometimes they come and stay for long, and sometimes they are in and out. So that's what money is all about. And
Whichever way, is still gonna go.
yeah, and some visitors you don't like them, and some visitors, hey, you really really like them, but they're in and out. So yeah, how do you work around that?
True.
If you to explain a typical day in the life of the office of Alice, what does that look like where you are right now?
I wouldn't say a day, I would say a week, because
Okay.
when you have sites, on Mondays I make sure that I plan my week, and I check what was I supposed to do last week, what I have to do this
No,
week.
but you forgot to tell us the waking up part, because the
The
day
waking
starts with
up
waking
part.
up. Yeah.
You went from that part. Okay, the waking up part, it's waking up at 5 and then hit the gym, depending on the schedule of that week and that day, at least 2 to 3 times a gym a week. And then from there, if I have a site meeting, I hit the car and then I go to the sites and then have some meetings probably on my way back. But then in the afternoon, that's where I'm in the office doing my admin work. And if I don't have a site meeting, I sit in the office looking for more opportunities, planning, making sure that whatever that I'm doing, I have to finish it, is going according, and then my clients are happy. And yeah, so basically, but at the moment, with the sites that I have, that's what I do. If I don't have
Yeah.
meetings, hit the gym and then the office, and then you make sure that all the paperwork is done. And then when I'm on site, I'm on the road most of the time, and make sure that the client is happy with the services, that opportunities that they've given me to be able to
Yeah.
provide services. Yeah.
We spoke about what you don't
So
enjoy
that's
doing,
me.
which is administration. But let's jump onto something that you really enjoy about your business. What is it that you enjoy doing about your business?
Okay. It's being on site and making things happen, and seeing rubble and mud turning into something very beautiful that people, or glamorous, depending if it's an office or a house. And when you get to think where it was, what it was before, it was just dust. But at the end of the day, you've able to, with the skills and leadership and everything, that you were able to turn that mud into something that is beautiful, and people, take pleasure to stay in. That for me, knowing that being on site, this is the outcomes that I'm looking for and what I'm being paid for at the end of the day. That's what I
Yeah,
like.
I like it. I like transformation as well, because that's what it's all about. You have transformed something from
Yes.
nothing and you've just made it to be beautiful. That's what it is. Um, in the
Yeah.
last 10 years, Alice, what is the is do you have any significant moment in your journey where you have been proud to be in business? What is that moment, and describe it to us, and why is that moment the moment for you?
Look, for me, it's basically because every time when you work and you do what you do, having someone to say, yo, Alice, you've made it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because people tend to think that as a business person you have it all. Unfortunately, we don't have. Unfortunately, we're fighting every day. We're doing what we have to do every day. And people think it's a walk in the park and it's thing. And while in that mess, someone would come and say, wow, you know. And the other defining moment for me was like my daughter, and it's like, hey, stop talking to me like a boss. And at such a young age, having her to understand that there's a thing called a boss, and my mom is one. And you see, for me, it's possibilities that are beyond us, because for me at that young age, I did not know. I just know that a boss is a boss. You understand? So it's a different thing. So for now, it gives me pleasure that, look, where I am, the exposure for my daughter to be in places that I can't even imagine, because one can only grow in exposure. When you're exposed to something, then you can be able to enter into it and do it better. So I believe that, whoever that is seeing me, and if they want to step in it, they will better be they think that I'm doing better. So for me, that's that.
Yeah, I really like that. I think you've nailed it right in the head. Exposure. Um, for me, traveling into Africa gave me so much exposure. Going into the big cities, it gave me so much exposure. And I look like I'm cool, but I'm not. All I've just done is I went somewhere, I observed it, and I'm like, oh, this is not at home, and I brought it home. You know what I mean? And that's it. You know. But Alice, there's something that I didn't ask you, which I think if I don't ask you, probably a lot of women are going to be like, well, Alice is special, right?
All right, what is it? Yeah.
Construction is not predominantly for women. And being at a construction site
Huh?
is very different because you get guys that are rowdy, you get guys that are much bigger than you, probably intimidating and all of that. And from a female perspective, potentially this could be intimidating. But people actually cannot see how short you are on the camera, but you're not that very tall. Um, but it's
Yes.
something that I want to address because I always hear people hide behind something. If it's not the gender, it's the race. If it's not the race, it's
Yeah.
the money. If it's not the money, it's I'm not the right age. And that's what I want to address here to say you went in 10 years ago, men respected differently to women than what they are today. I think that as a man, I'm speaking for myself here, that we are actually,
True.
I think as men, we are progressing into respecting women. But even though the statistics in terms of other things that are happening to women, between men and women, it's a little bit bad. Um,
Yeah.
and I want to hear your experience of being on site and what is it like and how do you also manage it? Is it different from being a female? By the way, I've never been really, I'm not, even though I own properties, I'm not fond of being on site. It's not my thing.
You know, I haven't been male, so I would not tell the difference from a male and a female being on site. But how I can answer that?
High five.
But what I can say is what people project on me is their business.
Come
What
on.
I'm there on site is for the project to be done. If we've got issues, I'm not going to address that because that's not what I'm here for. You can get to site and you not greet me. It's not going to bother me because at the end of the day, it's the project that has to be done. I get to site knowing why I'm there and what I have to do. what you say, what you judging me, it's okay. I'll laugh it off. And in some instances, if ever I see something that is a bit funny, I make a joke about it and we leave about it. If ever this, look, at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about you. We are here for the same reasons. We are here part of this project and wanting it to happen. So I go there not looking at myself as a woman or special case, whatever. Now we there. What you know, what I know, you might not know. What you know, I might. At the end of the day, it's exchange and a place where everybody can be able to grow from it, because each site is different. There's no repetition of anything. I'm sure you've done a lot of renovations where you can't say, no, this one is like another project. Nah, it's not. Everything is different every day. Yeah. So that's how I take. That's why it doesn't even bother me. That's why I don't even see myself as a special case.
Yeah, you just hardcore. That's what it is. What's the weird? Have you ever met any weird stuff on a construction site? And what is the most weirdest thing that you've met up on a construction site? Every business has its own weird stuff.
The weird thing that I've seen on site is like our construction site was stopped because they saw a frog and they thought it was an indigenous frog. So we had to stop. Yeah, we had to stop until they are sure that it's not that indigenous frog. But yeah, and one amazing thing that I will never forget, and the pleasure of seeing that moment happen, having to pour a slab. It was 1 million worth of concrete in one day. We were pouring a slab in North Mead Square. So it's these amazing things that happens. And you get to see something that is sitting there and you're like, they just pour concrete. There's procedures and everything. And at the end of the day, having to see the final product of it, it's amazing.
Whilst we are talking about weird stuff, we've spoken about, one of your amazing moments in business. Do you potentially have a project that could potentially define you as a person? And whatever that project is, just walk us through that particular project and maybe explain along the way why you think this defined me. It might have been your first project or whatever it is. Yeah, you give us what it is.
I wouldn't say, you know what, look, the one thing that the pleasure of having to be in the shopping center industry and having to sit back now, looking at how many shopping centers that we set foot in and doing and renovations, be it can be ablutions, but at the end of the day, it's still that. For me, it's not a particular project. It's the process of starting from nothing and then sitting where I am sitting, have been worked with big brands where you never thought that you would. And sometimes when you talk about those brands to people to say, look, I've done 3 Nando's, I've built 3 of those, and we've done Woolworths, for me, is the least of big brands that we were able to engage with. I can't really say much in terms of a certain project, because it's a project. A project is a project. I can't say project defines that, because I believe that there's still more to come. And restricting myself is, for me, adding those names onto my profile further and building the other kind of construction projects that I've done. So yeah, for me, it's adding on what I've built, because I still believe that more is still to come.
If we had to go back 15 years from now, and we are to give some advice to that Alice. And what advice would you give to Alice 15 years ago?
I would say, look, relax. You are on the right road, and don't be too hard on yourself. You know, the universe has
Yeah,
got you. That's it. Because for me, I was overthinking a lot of things, anxieties of where I am. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like relax. You've got it. You are at the right path. Or probably having more confidence in myself, having more confidence. That's it.
mm.
Because yeah,
Okay,
self-esteem issues and stuff like that. So basically, as to say, you're in the right path. Relax and
sure.
just enjoy the journey.
Yeah. Alice, thanks a lot for your
Yeah.
time being here. But before you go, um, on this channel, we want people to understand that for you to get to where you are right now, it was a lot of work, it was a lot of mentoring, it was also education. And the education comes from different places. Is
Yeah.
there, if someone is sitting home somewhere, they're watching this today and they're like, I want to be like Alice. And it's a young girl that's sitting out just before matric, or maybe it's an elderly person. They're in a job that they're being frustrated around. They like buildings or constructing. Is there a book? Is there some resource that you can point them to say this is how you can get started?
Unfortunately, in terms of the book, is the shortcuts because you have to be in it. You have to get it. You have to be on the ground.
Right.
For me, I would say if you want to start probably volunteering or shadowing in someone who is working in it and get to see exactly what is happening. Because sometimes people, they will say they want to be in construction, but then the next thing you take them to site, they don't want to touch a shovel. It's part of it. It doesn't matter, general labor, whatsoever. You have to do it. At the end of the day, that's part of construction. You can't pick and choose. But yes, the studying that can be there. And then some are lucky and they just get tenders and then they get into it. That's how they got introduced to it. But some, you unfortunately, like for us, we had to be on the ground, plus studying, plus experience, plus the endurance of the journey, and being in it because you love it.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
mentioned something that I enjoy doing. So I do a lot of voluntary work, a lot. So I dedicate about, at average, 3 to 4 hours of voluntary work per week. It's a value of mine. But why would you suggest volunteering as a starting point?
Volunteering, sometimes at the moment we are in a hard economic, um, it's hard times,
Yeah,
and there's no jobs and whatnot. And again, volunteering, it has to be for you wanting to learn, and
right.
your want and your doing can end up earning you a job or an opportunity. You understand what I'm? So at the end of the day, it's having to create path for yourself to be able to get to where you want to go. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah.
I could not stress it enough. I think volunteering is one of those things that you can do to increase your skill. That's number one. To get exposure,
Yeah.
um, to do something without taking the risk of it, because you're volunteering, you have no risk.
Yes, you're right.
Right. So
Mm.
I really like. That's why I like volunteering myself. So thank you for noting that one out, ladies and gentlemen. That was Alice. I did share with you. She is a sister from another mother, doing great things. 10 years plus doing construction, still strong. You didn't tell us your company name now. You've changed from the last time I know of you to
Oh
now you are.
yes,
Hmm.
it's Divina Construction.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can check it out in the description of the video, all of the details, and you can reach out to her. My name is TJ. We'll check you out on the next video.